Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. One of the hardest fighting species in the UK from the shore on light tackle has to be the ballan wrasse.
Absolutely. We both love catching them, getting that rod bent, and you know, anybody can fish for them, you know, because it's shore fishing that you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Anywhere on the shore, all you need to do is find some rocky ground, some rough ground, look for those steep rock faces going straight down into deep water, and you can tell generally the deeper water is obviously darker. So look for that dark, deep water, bits of kelp, things like that. It's really not that difficult, to be honest. The rigs and things, it's quite simple.
It's real basic, easy fishing, but the main tip is you rarely get wrasse off beaches, off open surf beaches. They love rocky, rugged coastlines with deep water close by, and that's what you've got to look for. As Mike says, you want those gullies. And listen guys, you're not casting out. If you cast out too far, you'll cast past them.
You will. Yeah, it's literally right down in front of your face. And I think the beauty of it is you can actually catch them all around Europe. I think they're not just here on UK waters, that you can catch them around the world. Cracking fighting fish. They tend to crash dive as soon as they take the bait. What baits do we use?
Crab, ragworm, lugworm. That's the end of that. That's 3 baits. Well, we've got to catch on one of those surely. Let's get down. And you know where we're going? Devon, deepest Devon, South Devon, place called Torquay. We haven't been there before, have we?
Never fished there before.
Never fished there before, no.
We love exploring new marks as well. So for us to go TAFishing, go on a bit of a tour down to Torquay, let's check out some of the action.
Oh, Jesus, nice wrasse.
Is it?
Oh, it just the bank.
That's a nice wrasse.
Of a wrasse.
That's a chunk. That's a piggy. Totally awesome.
That's a beautiful, beautiful ballan wrasse there, people. What an evening down here, Torquay in Devon. Got the information from Dave Kiddie at Kiddie Wholesale. Does he know his stuff? The answer is yes. Absolutely impressed with my new favourite white rod. That was a cracker. I'll tell you what, that fish can't be a million miles away. Up towards the 4-ish, maybe 3 3/4. Lovely ballan wrasse. What a beauty. Let's get it back. And was I pleased with that fish? My God, yes, it was huge. It was big. There's not enough space on this background to get my hands apart like fishermen do. And I'll tell you what I was really impressed with down there, guys. The clarity of the water down there in Torquay, really first class, wasn't it?
It was amazing. And you could even see in that footage, the underwater footage we got, all the weeds and those kelp beds that those wrasse live in. That's their sanctuary. And all you need to do is just get that bait right on the edge of those weed beds and bam, they usually hit it straight away.
And don't forget, you can use crabs for bigger fish. That's what I tend to target. I do find if you're using ragworm or lugworm, yes, you can get the odd big fish. You tend to get, I don't know, small to medium-sized fish. If you've got a nice big crab this size, like this, then you should get 1 bite and 1 crab. However, those little ones will nibble the legs off of crabs, won't they?
They definitely, yeah. Sometimes, a lot of the time, in fact, as soon as you cast out, it's the little ones that will be on it first. So you don't want to be too anxious and hit it quickly. You want to almost let the little ones nibble away and then wait for the big one to attract. It's kind of like carp fishing, really. It will attract the bigger fish, and that's when they take.
Now, these aren't peeler crabs, guys. These are just regular hardback crabs. In fact, I had a bucket of them that my boat buddy, Wayne Comben, scooped up in Langston Harbour in about, I don't know, a minute. I couldn't believe. He just lifted it up. It wasn't rocks he was lifting up. It was something half the size of a house. And he just went scoop, 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 and all these crabs. But we used them at Chelsea Bill. And do you know what we caught? Did we catch smoothhound? No.
You caught nothing.
We caught nothing. We blanked out. Zippo finito. I'm not wasting those crabs. They're very well travelled. I kept them in a little bit of damp seaweed. As Wayne told me, get some salt water in a bottle. You know, not salt water, obviously all the sea is salt. Put some seawater in a drinks bottle, put it in the fridge, and just give them a little drink, keep them moist. You can keep them several days, and that's what we did. We took them down to Torquay, but there's another totally awesome tip. Yes, you can also do this. If you've got quite a few hardback crabs, just regular shore crabs, and you've travelled with them as it were, they're going to have a bit of juice in there. They're going to need freshening up, but don't waste all that juice that's in there. If you just strain it off into the area of the rocks, that's all what I would call a crabby soup that's going into the water that could pull all the wrasse out and get them out the kelp, feeding, and definitely look at this lot going in the water, guys. Does that look good or what? That just smells of crab. And of course, the benefit is you get some fresh seawater in there, and that perks up your occupants, and they're all nice and fresh to be using. You can keep them through the day. You can actually see that cloud of chum down there, or juice, crab juice. Some of those have died in there, right? Take them out, the dead ones, chunk them up with a knife, crush them up and throw them out. That will definitely get the wrasse going. And of course, even if you do get the crabs that are dead, don't forget you can still use them on the hook. We're just using regular hardback crabs, these are not peelers. And just get your hook, we go through the edge of the shell once, just wiggle it like this, rotate the hook until you don't want to blunt your own hook, and then it pops through like this, and it's just hanging there, as you can see. Then my weight, and you can make this what they call a rotten link if you wanted a lighter line than this. This is 15 all the way through, so you can make that say 10 pounds. That way, if you do snag up, you only lose the weight and not your crab, or let's hope, the wrasse. I just cast the crab out. Now, you've got a drag, you've got a real drag here, which obviously is to give line. I like to screw this up pretty tight when you're wrasse fishing, because if you don't, when you do get a big wrasse, he's going to power, strip line and take you straight into the kelp, snags, and you lose everything. So don't put the rod down on the rocks if you've got it on full drag. Obviously just back the drag off if you're just going to do something, grab a sandwich or a drink. But failing that, if you're fishing and holding like this, I like to keep it quite tight, and I'm feeling for that bite all the time. Years ago, too many years ago, when I was fishing in Ireland, the first wrasse fishing trip I had was with a guy called Kevin Linnane and Norman Dunlop. Kevin Linnane was about the finest wrasse fisherman that I think I've ever fished with. Well, I think most people have ever fished with. And he told me he was fishing with, not with crab, with a lugworm on the hook. Just paternoster it, but bump it and move it. Give it like 30 seconds, bump it and move it. So you're covering... Yes, that was a bite. You're covering ground all the time. Let me get this fish to camera. You're covering ground all the time there, and that way you're not just sitting there in the wrong area. Because let's face it, you don't really know where those wrasse are going to be until you start getting the bites. You need to get the bites first, that's the first thing. So don't be afraid, just bump that lead now and then, and make sure when you get it in really close, you bring it out quite quickly so you get it through the snags, because you want to get it out and back out again. Well guys, crabs really lucked out. Check this one out. It's not as big as that first one. Those crabs are going to be about £2 each, Mike, if you want to use some.
Yeah.
That's a nice fish again. It's a nice fish down there.
Well, that's a good wrasse. That's a good wrasse. That's the same size as the other one, I'd say.
That is absolutely the same size as the other one, I'd say, yeah.
The rod's folded.
Yeah. Now, just be aware doing this, guys. I thought I'm going to pick the same route I went before, because I might live to tell the tale. Oh, see what I've got. Is that my other rig?
Yeah.
That's on the rod. This is where you need a rod with a little bit more beef in it, because although that's bent on the tip, I've got up this end of it absolutely loads more power. That's a decent wrasse. That is the ballon wrasse for you. Now just look, if I can hold him, if he will hold still, which he might. Just look at those teeth there. Let's just put them back. They're perfectly capable of crushing. I'm going to put my finger in there and find out if they crush fingers. They will. They crush off limpets, shellfish, and that's why I'm using crab. And this one was on a whole crab. He had no trouble in crushing that crab, getting the hook. It's a nice fish. Back it goes. What a session.
Well, no wonder you kept coming back with empty crab shells. Did you see the teeth on those things?
Worse than the mother-in-law. But do you know what? Those crabs are really good bait, but the wrasse will also do what we call shucking. They can shuck and crush the crab and send you just the body of the shell. The little ones pull the legs off, and you know, they just seem to crush, I think, the bottom half of the crab, eat the inside, and you're getting tap bites all the time, and then you wind in slowly and you got either nothing or you just got the top of the shell shucked. And as all fishermen know, there's nothing worse than having a shucking crab. I said a shucking crab with the shell left, is there?
No, it certainly makes fishing a bit more tougher. So I guess really with the crab, you've got to be pretty much tight to it, ready for those big bites straight away, haven't you?
Yeah, you want to just ignore the little light taps. You can't do anything about it. You can't make a big wrasse eat it. You just hope the big wrasse gets it. And you're waiting for more of a pull and the rod tip starts to go down. That's where you need a sort of finer rod tip. You need a bit more finesse with it to be able to see the tip actually pull down and you lift into it rather than snap it off. You don't want to break them off.
I'll tell you what, it was getting a bit tiring, me holding the camera all the time. I didn't really get into any fish. I just kept holding the camera for him. Who does he think he is?
Well, do you know, some people have got it, haven't they? Some people can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Well, it was my turn to get the head cam on, and do you know what? That sun started to go down, it cooled off a bit. They really started to come on the bite.
They went nuts, didn't they?
Yeah, check this out.
Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah. And it's a good, I won't even worry anymore. Took all my cares, took and kicked them all out the door. Go on and try, come and tell me what you're waiting for. Move and keep them going till your life is overflowing, yeah. I do a dance of victory, cause now I'm living good, no I'm not living like I used to be. Now talk about things, talk about my mind. Now I'm free from the words that I left behind. I gotta jump for joy and shout aloud and make a sound. Oh, the world can stop me now. Play my guitar while I'm stomping my feet, yeah. I gotta celebrate life and get excited about good times and good living. Come on, shout it out. Hey! Take it up, take it over, take it out of control. Today I'm freeing my soul and now you got me singing. Oh, hey! I'm feeling fine, smiling big, feeling right like I should. Life is better than good, yeah, you got me singing. Oh, hey! I'm standing up on top of the world tonight.
Well, another tip when you're rock fishing is you want to be aware that we're on a sloping rock here, which means the rock's still going to go further out underwater. So you actually have to cast out a bit further rather than drop right down where the fish will be. Cast out a bit further because we're fishing a flood tide, and the tide will be pushing your bait further and further in towards the kelp and the weed, which is where the fish will be. So always cast a bit further, and then you can always hop it back in slowly. Well, one of many wrasse that we've had today, probably the smallest, but as you can see I'm on this kind of drop shot rig basically. It's just the hook's directly tied onto the line. I get bite detection straight away, and almost every fish I've hooked, well actually every fish I have hooked is lip hooked. It's not deep throated, it's not gone down, it's really nicely hooked. And just by doing this method, I think because you're directly onto the line, the hook is, you just, as soon as you strike, it just hits their lip basically. So yeah, it's a good method, it certainly works. It's great for fishing the ragworm as well.
Well, you actually caught up with me, of course. He didn't get the size, but he certainly got the numbers. And I've taken note already, because fishing is all about learning, really. That drop shot, I mean, what is that all about? Because I've never seen that used for wrasse fishing before.
Well, it's obviously a highly successful freshwater method with your lures and even with lobworm for perch. So I just basically brought it to the sea fishing world. I've done a lot of wrasse fishing, and I used to use kind of running ledgers with the worm, the lead down here, and the ragworm floating about up here. But what I found tends to happen is, yes, the wrasse grab the worm, but then they swim off and they've got a bit of movement, so they can end up swallowing that worm, and then they get a bit deeper hooked, and it all becomes a bit of a nightmare. So I thought, I need that hook as close to my main line as possible so that doesn't happen. So I just thought of the drop shot rig. It's the exact same thing. It's the drop shot rig. The line's coming straight down from your rod. The hook's just sitting off it. You feel the bites instantly because it's straight to your line. You feel them instantly. That way you can strike quicker and they're lip hooked every time.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at them.
Okay, I'm not going to actually tell you how to tie the drop shot rig because I do have a video already for that, and I'll pop a link to it. It's just up here in the corner. You can click that and watch how to tie all the knots and everything like that. What I will do is just explain to you quickly what the rig is. So all I've got is, there's my main line braid. My rod tip is just here, coming down my braid, and I just tied that onto a swivel, which you can hopefully see here. So it goes from the swivel. Then I've got my fluorocarbon, but for the sake of this video I've just used mono so you can see it a bit better. So fluorocarbon, about 2 feet, and the next thing up is your hook. And there's my hook just there. And again, that sits straight off the line. That's tight to the line, it sits right off it, sits out like that. Any wrasse that nibble at that, you'll feel directly on the rod tip. Okay, so you then strike a bit sooner hopefully, and they'll be hooked in the lip. And then just below that is my lead, or shall I say, Dad's homemade lead.
Well, it's great to see that rig. Give it a try. Definitely worth a shot, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's really easy to tie, and to be honest, it works. You could see in the video. To be honest, we had a cracking session down there. We only had 3 hours on what you saw there. It was just 3 hours fishing. We were putting out fish after fish after fish. We were so tired. We had an early night, and then the next morning we woke up, drove down to Plymouth, and we've heard great things about Plymouth boat fishing down there. We managed to get ourselves a boat and crack on with some fishing down there.
It did. It was inshore fishing because the wind was really borderline. We couldn't get right out to sea. We had to stay within the confines around Plymouth Breakwater and a bit up the river. We give it a try anyway, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Mike got these fish. Yes, Plymouth is a famous sea angling port. From many years ago, it was a place where a lot of British records were broken and set there, both from the shore, in the estuary, and out offshore. Some great fishing there. And this is the marina in Plymouth. When we turned up there, we actually had a bit of sunshine to fill it in, full of boats, and we got to go out on a merry fisher here called Life's Good, just tucked in there with a Navionics sticker on it. Lovely cabin. Thankfully, everything was loaded aboard. It went smoothly. I've never driven one of these boats before, but obviously it was a bit different to my old high sea drifter with a much bigger engine. This one had a Suzuki on it. And we got out through the locking system and went out beyond Plymouth Breakwater, gave it a go, and do you know what? It was just nice to get out on the water and give these light tackle rods a little bit of a test. However, you can see by the ripple on the water, the wind was on its way. We just barely had a few hours to squeeze in there and catch what we could.
Yeah, fish on. Feel a bend in the rod, it says it all really. And on the feathers, on the light Nomura rod, and it is a pollock.
Is there something on the bottom as well?
I think it's a bit of kelp or weed, where he took me in the weeds a bit. On the top feather. There we go. Well, there we go. First fish of the day for me. Wind's picking up, but on the feathers, on the light gear, we were using these rods yesterday. Great shore rods, really nice light tackle, but they can really pack a punch. So we've dropped these down with a relatively big lead. I think this one's 10 to 35 grams, this rod, so it can take it. And it was great sport. Absolutely folded over. Let's get these feathers down and hopefully catch another one. Oh hey, fish on again, people. On the ultralight.
I think it's another pollock, very similar size, but they're coming in. Awesome sport, good fun. You can't really go wrong with feathers, really. It's a great thing to do while you've got big baits out, which we do for the congers and the bullhuss. Just get a set of feathers, a nice light rod, 2,000 to 3,000 size reel. This one looks cool. It's got kind of bullet holes in it, and it's just great fun. Get your feathers out there, up and down, just sort of a couple of feet. Just jig it about a foot and a half to 2 feet. You don't need to jig it any higher. Some people throw the rod in the air. I was a culprit of doing that. But yeah, you don't really need to jig it very hard. Just up and down, and just off from the kelp, just off from the bottom. Let's get him back, drop him down again. Pullen Junior, and it's the smallest fish of the day. Do I care? No, because it's good fun.
So why are they always on your side of the boat at the moment?
Yeah.
Well, the weather got and stuffed us again. It got up to about a 4-6, even with a nice boat. I think that boat was called a Merry Fisher, but trust me, with the wind blowing like that, I wasn't the Merry Fisher, that's for sure. But a lot of you guys want to know, you've probably noticed, Graeme is using what looks like new light tackle.
Yeah, we get a lot of emails and questions from you guys about what tackle we're using. And basically, to save us emailing and having to message, because we get a lot of them, emailing and messaging you guys, we're just going to give you a quick run through on the tackle that we use.
And this is the sort of equipment we've been using. Yes, you did see Graeme with some new tackle. It's made by a company called Nomura. Now then, this is good quality stuff, lovely finish on it, and I'll tell you what, very, very light to hold, aren't they?
They're super light. They've got so much carbon in them that they're actually super, super light, but so powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. Now the reel, as you can see, that is really, really, really sporty looking. But I'm not just interested in looks, I'm interested in can it catch fish. I like the little handle here because it's a triangulated one, and that was pretty handy for grabbing when we're fighting the fish. Nice little drag system. I put nylon line on mine, and you put on yours.
Yeah, this is a 3,500 size reel. It's about the right size, really. I've gone for braid because I like lure fishing as well. Got 16 pound sidewinder silk on there, and this, as well as having a lovely look to it, actually has a super smooth drag and really, really lots of ball bearings in it, so it's really, really smooth.
Smooth to use, yeah.
The rod I'm using, obviously I'll go into a bit more detail later, is the Hyro, again Nomura Hyro. I don't usually use new rods, to be honest. I'm used to using my old LRF rods. This is kind of more of an HRF rod. It's 4 to 21 grams casting weight, and it, again, carbon, super, super sensitive tip, but lots of action and lots of strength in this butt section.
And my one, putting on my binoculars. Now this one is got 30-T carbon. Now there's a lot of carbon in these, which makes it light, but it makes it very, very strong. There's no question, it's called an icy. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. And this was 2.1 metres, but for you guys casting lures, nice lure rods, 10 to 35 grams is the casting weight. Brilliant.
Now, I did see you with a rather unique, fully white coated rod earlier. I think, have you gone to the dark side?
Me with a new white rod? Yeah. And this is a cheaper version. This is a cheaper one. And it is all white. It's like that programme. It will be all white on the night. That programme. And it is a white blank. Nice white grip. I can assure you, if we use this for many more wrasse fishing sessions, it's going to get dark. On this one, slightly bigger fixed ball reel, that one, Mike.
Yeah, that's a 6,000, I think. And again, lots of line on it.
Yeah.
But again, super smooth drag, really nice.
A nice ring, so nice Fuji guides on them. And it's called, other than my favourite, it's called a kanji.
Yeah, Nomura kanji. And this casts a bit heavier. It's 40 to 80 grams. So we thought we'd use 3 rods. A kind of ultra light one, which I've got for my LRF and my really light tackle stuff. Medium range lure rod, and then a heavy rod. And to be honest, I think you're in love with that one, aren't you?
I like this one, yeah. It's probably, guys, because I'm so used to using glass and heavier tackle, I'm not used to having that lovely light weight. And that's what I like about it. But this one for me, a lot of power, and hey ho, big wrasse on it, as you saw.
Yeah, lots of good wrasse. We got so many fish. I think, you know, in one of the days we had 30 fish up to 4 pounds. Absolutely awesome fun, great fun on light tackle. Give it a go.
And listen, These guys get back in action down at Torquay again, but first we go into the local tackle shop just to glean a little bit more information, because with fishing, information is king. We're down here at Tidal Tackle in Torquay. Dave Kiddie sent us down here, said almost guaranteed fishing Torquay, and I know it's almost guaranteed sunshine. At least I hope it's going to be today. We're going to see some. I'm down here with Martin. Martin's, tell us where to go, mate. I've never been here before, so tell us.
Hello, Graeme.
What we're going to do.
You'd want to go to Thunderhole.
Thunderhole.
Yeah, they're getting quite a lot of wrasse.
Yeah.
And you use a bit of ragworm.
Okay.
They're getting a few dogfish, bullace, smooth hounds on the bottom.
Yeah.
And plenty of mackerel.
Is it really rocky there, or are you casting out onto clear ground once you go
It's
out?
very rocky there. It's no quarry, so you should be quite a few boulders out in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's where the wrasse will be living, all in the rocks.
Are they going to be sort of fairly close to the edge of the ledges?
Yep, close in next to the ledges.
Gotcha.
So float fishing or ledgering close in will be very good. Bit of ragworm or crab, very good.
Okie doke. And if we did want to throw a bigger bait out, what is it really distance casting, or just you've got to go 40-50 yards?
40-50 yards, and you should get onto some bit cleaner ground out there.
Yeah.
Where you'll get the dogfish, bullace,
Okay.
and maybe a smooth hound.
Now we got some light tackle to fish with. We've got some quite light rods to fish with. Do you reckon they're going to be capable of catching wrasse? Do people like light tackle fishing around here?
The LRF fishing is very popular now.
Yeah.
And that's where they're catching the wrasse and gobies and blennies and stuff like that.
If you've got small fish around there, I'm assuming you're going to get bass on a mark like that.
You would do, yeah. All the sand eels come in there at the night time.
Yeah.
So float fishing with a live sand eel or prawn.
And is it worth casting with lures down there? You can get some bass on lures?
Yeah, you can still get bass on lures.
Yeah.
More later on in the season, it'll be better.
And what size do they run, those bass?
Average size is about £3 down there.
Yeah.
So.
We'll give it a go anyway. Have you heard it now? You heard it from the horse's mouth here, Martin. Guaranteed wrasse fishing. Let's get down there, see if we can actually catch something. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you.
Make sure you always check the drag on your reel. You don't want it too loose, but on the other hand, you don't want it too tight that you break the fish off. So you've got to get the balance right, because these wrasse, when they go on a crash dive straight into the kelp, snags, rock caves, whatever they can get into. So even with rods like this that have got a bit of power in them, especially in the bottom to middle section, you've got to get the balance right between the drag setting. The wind was up a bit, but hey ho, didn't make any difference to us. Mike was in yet again.
Well, there we go, people. We had a tough day yesterday out on the boat, just a few pollock. Wind really picked up, it's breezy today. We're back at Thunderhole, where Martin from Tidal Tackle told us to go. Cracking wrasse. I first cast out on the ragworm. Never underestimate ragworm. Cracking sport. And what a beauty for a first cast. And this is the gear I got him on. I'm using the 16-pound braid this time. It's the Sidewinder Silk. I really like this braid. I use it in my drop shotting and everything. It's a really nice braid. I kind of like that dark olive green colour as well for some reason. I use it pretty much in most of my lure fishing as well. Small. This is the Icy Nomura reel. Really, really good. Lovely drag on it. And this rod, I have to admit, could be my new favourite rod. I finally changed rods from my old one. I've had it a few years now. This is a Nomura Hyro, and it is awesome.
More power, definitely more power,
It's got a real sensitive tip, but so much power for these wrasse. So it can handle, I'll definitely use this drop shotting.
It was pretty much action all the way. And with a head cam on, it enabled the both of us to fish at the same time. Here we go, test the run out. We might even get a fish to camera, who knows? Anything could happen in the next half hour. There we go, fish straight on, guys. And if you notice, I barely saw that on the rod top. That was by touch ledgering. Have I got the fish or have I missed it? I've missed it. Holy schmoly. But my number 2 there, number 1 son, has got a wrasse, and meanwhile, I've dropped down and got another one. A double header of wrasse. You can't ask better than that. Light tackle fishing at its best.
Well, another one bites the dust. We're absolutely caning them at the moment. It's roaring wind. It's almost like a bloody hurricane. But the fish are biting like mad. These wrasse are, we've got some monster ragworm, big bait. These wrasse are nailing them. And that rod is absolutely folding over. I'm loving it. Quality little fish. They put up a wicked fight, these fish, but they absolutely crash dive down to the kelp. They really want to get that sanctuary of the weed to try and get you in the snags. So you have to be tight to them all the time. And don't set your drag too tight though, because you can ping them off. So you want just enough so they can take a tiny bit of line, but you do want a tight drag. Great little fish, lovely scrap. They come in all sorts of colours. This is a Ballon wrasse, this one. And they come in lovely, loads of different colours. You can get them on lures, you can get them on bait. But at the moment, bait's doing the work. Awesome. Well guys, I've seen some stupid things in my life, but what you're about to witness is possibly the most stupid thing I have ever seen.
We hope it's not going to be a fatality here, guys.
There's two kids climbing a cliff with no safety rope, safety helmets, climbing gear, anything. I mean, it is so dumb. I mean, as a school teacher, I would seriously condone this. But if you take a look up there, I mean, that's stupid, man. We all do silly things in our life, but kids, if you're watching, don't do this at home. Don't have a go at doing that. Just get out with a fishing rod. Go fishing.
Well, that had to be almost insane. Climbing in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt up a near vertical rock face. I mean,
It's crazy.
it's Looney Tunes all what.
I mean, it really was quite dumb, and thankfully none of them got hurt. Although it was distracting us from our fishing because we had to keep checking if they were okay. However, the wind did really pick up after that, but boy did the fishing pick up.
Absolutely took off big time. Don't forget people, we released every single one of our wrasse. You don't have to catch them and keep them. You can just have good sport, catch them, let them go for another day. That way you don't deplete the stocks and everybody gets to have some great wrasse fishing. Just look at the amazing clarity here, and this is what you're looking for. Get yourself a pair of good polarizing glasses, that way you can see through the water down in the depths and see where the drop-offs are, underneath where the caves, the kelp, everything is. It gives you a good guide where to drop your bait or indeed your lure for wrasse fishing. They love living in amongst all this kelp. Don't be afraid you are going to lose a bit of gear. But just look how clear this water is. I mean, you could be in the tropics. This is the south coast of Devon off Torquay. limpets on the rocks as well. Don't forget, once you've cast out, you let the lead sink to the bottom. Don't shut the bail arm straight away, because that'll enable the lead to swing in towards you. Let it sink down, check your drag, get it set just right, and then what you can do to increase bites or the recognition of bites as well as watching the rod top, hold the line across your fingers, and that way you get to feel when the fish are going to nibble as well. As I did here, you can actually feel the bites as well as use that super sensitive rod tip. And here we go, yes, another wrasse from that beautiful clear Devon water. Thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. We hope you got a few more tips out of it.
We hope to see you guys out on the rocks real soon.
Well, or the beach,
Or the river.
or carp fishing,
Or fly fishing.
or chub fishing,
Or shark fishing.
or marlin fishing.